Hello there and welcome. Today is Tuesday, 9th April 2019 and the weather forecast in Lagos is at an average of 33 degrees Celsius and according to forecast it will mostly be cloudy. Today it is rise and shine right here in our Lagos studio as we bring you the breakfast news with today's edition of Off the Press. So we have Vanguard newspaper, we have This Day and The Punch as well as The Nation newspaper, and we'll be talking about sports as we also flip through the pages of Complete Sports newspaper. With me in our studio this morning to discuss major headlines in today's dailies is a public affairs analyst, Tubosun Akeju. Good morning and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, thanks for having me.
And how would you say the weather has been so far between yesterday and this morning?
I think it has gotten better. Last week, it felt like they were stress testing the Hellfire.
The Lagos sun really just has a way of
it was really hot.
beating you and all of that. And how was traffic too as well?
Well, I think I left home very early this morning, so I only felt it just a little bit. It wasn't too bad. I decided to get to this side of town earlier than normal.
Most definitely. It's now time to dig into the dailies. Now we'll start off with the Nation newspaper. And the biggest headline here, we have bandits kill 20 in Kaduna, 5 bankers, a vice principal and policeman die in Ondo bank robbery as well. We have details of that at page 5. And Buhari decries use of cyberspace to manipulate elections. Details of that also in page 6. And offer robbery wounds on suspect's leg not caused by gunshots. Zenith Bank names a new GMD CEO as Amangbo bows out, and we also have governors, senators gang up against Magu. Page 6 has details of that. 2 Nigerians starved to death in South Africa, and World Bank cuts growth forecast to 2.8%. And details of that coming in page 11. Fire got Imo Airport's arrival terminal. Just yesterday, page 44 has details. Jam to candidates, no makeup exams. And Yobo, experience won't win AFCON. And we see the pictorial here, the smashed bank building in Idoani, Ondo State from yesterday, and the suspect inside the military patrol van as well. And we also have here, Shell unveils 15 billion naira 5-year investment plan. And page 7, kidnappers contact fire chief's family. Now, let's start with the situation in Kaduna, and then we also look at the bank robbery in Ondo State. We have 7 people killed in Ondo State, 20 in Kaduna, and different parts of the country. We have the level of security once again tilting to the negative. To what extent do you think we have to ensure that the police force makes sure that this time around we have arrest, due investigation is done, reaching a logical end, and then we can have deterrents put in place? Because all of these attackers, we label them as unknown gunmen. Some we've seen in military uniform, some we've seen in other operatives uniform, but we never hear to a logical end what happens to them, and then that serves as a deterrent. Do you think that's what has fueled all of these killings, and should we expect more?
I think that first thing, the Nigerian security apparatus needs to work very hard and work better at intelligence gathering. If you've had an opportunity to interact with some serious cases, you'd see that they have the potential, to improve intelligence gathering. And some of them even know how important it is, but it seems like the resources to achieve that are not readily available. And another thing, I think we need to move into the 21st century method of policing and securing our society. Yes, Idoani might be somewhere that you refer to as not a major town or a major city, but I think it's a major town in Ondo State.
Killing 7 people is a major news.
It's a major news. I'm even coming down to the infrastructure, security infrastructure that is supposed to be available in places like that. Ondo State is an oil-producing state, so we understand, the security peculiarities of places like that in Nigeria. So I'm saying we had the CCTV cameras because these robbers, proceeded from a particular point before they got to that bank and blew it up. So what's the response time of our security? So those are the things that we need to look at. And if we look at the, security issues generally, it's a bit alarming Why? Because we've just come out of an election, and in the last 2 weeks, what we've seen in the news, we've seen the issue in Zamfara. Now there's an issue in Kaduna, there's an issue in Ondo State. So it looks like, should we be worried about a coordinated crime across the country?
We shouldn't even forget about the kidnap of the fire service boss.
Exactly,
as well,
even in Lagos.
Ransom.
In Lagos, you know, yet again, the last time there was a serious case like this was that of the students in the secondary school somewhere, you know, in Ekpe, and now we have, you know, a government official being kidnapped, and these things tend to, you know, turn to a trend. So I think government needs to really, the security apparatus need to work very hard on intelligence so that they are able to nip this thing in the bud, so that we don't even have to deal with, you know, court cases that would, you know, draw very long, and then we don't know what happened to the, you know, perpetrators of this evil act. So
and hopefully we just have them, justice is served, and this serves as a deterrent once and for all. We can't continue the second quarter of this year on that same trend of having acts going unpunished. Such acts are just despicable. We can't have to deal with this. Well, Off the Press continues in just a moment after the short break, and we'll bring you other newspaper headlines. Glad to have you back, and you're still watching today's edition of Off the Press, where we are discussing newspaper headlines across the national dailies, and we have Tubosun Akeju, a public affairs analyst, to do a whole lot of justice to all of these topics. We started off initially before the short break. Now it's time to shift focus to This Day newspaper, and bringing you headlines from This Day newspaper, we have Supreme Court will remain a united institution, strikes out Abe's appeal on Rivers APC primary, and stop intimidating the Apex Court, APC tells the PDP. We have details of that in page 8. And we can see a pictorial here, President of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote on the left, and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo during Dangote's visit to the Vice President, and it is a welcome to the villa. Dogara also warns against imposition of leadership on the 9th National Assembly. Page 6 also has details of that. And we shift focus to reports that Fidelity Bank realigns and appoints Joshua Odege Iman new executive directors. Page 6 as well has details. U.S. sanctions, Libyan crisis push oil price to $70 per barrel. Page 8 has details. And with Onyagu's, Zenith Bank set for new growth phase. Now, you know, when we take a look, let's look at this headline, South Court saying that they remain a united institution. Looking at all of the back and forth and how the supposed retirement or resignation and the preceding headlines that have led to this situation now, and the Supreme Court says the judiciary still remains a united institution, irrespective of the retirement or the resignation of the former Chief Justice of Nigeria. We still remain united, and no judicial officer comes into any office based on any leanings. Do you think that's enough of an explanation? Because we had reports that they say, well, the judiciary is divided based on.
I mean, I think the Supreme Court is trying to save face. There are no doubts about the fact that the Onoge issue, you know, caused ripples, you know, in the legal sector. It was an issue that, in my opinion, was very, very much avoidable. And whatever, you know, caused it, because there are, you know, different school of thoughts about how he even got there. Some felt that it was on the verge of being blackmailed. Some felt that it was going to be used, you know, against. Some felt that, you know, the ruling party was just trying to get him out. But whatever the case is, it was a bit unfortunate, you know, to find him at, you know, the verge of being found guilty of the things that he was accused of. And I think that they got him a soft landing. Do they have the right, the Supreme Court judges have the right to come out and put that position out, because, you know, the profession is one that is very revered, you know. And now to see that kind of stain come on that kind of profession. So I'm not surprised that, you know, they're making front page saying
So
that they're
you
very
term
much
it as
united.
some damage control measure?
I think it's a bit of a damage control measure. I think the situation would have been a lot better if the former CJN had resigned when those issues came to the fore, and, you know, he had, maybe by commission or by omission, had found himself, you know, wanting in one area or the other.
Well, they say the language is no resignation, rather it's retirement.
Whatever the case is.
Okay.
Operationally, it's no longer.
Okay, so now the Magnus Abbey is also appealing on the Rivers State Appeal Court on its pronouncement of the authenticity of the APC primary. Now, it's a little difficult to have to discuss this issue because at the end of the day, this is one too many back and forth. Even within the APC, it shows that this is no longer a united front where we have different factions here and there. But do you think it's unnecessary going back and forth and asking, you had the primary done much way before now, so why are you crying foul? Some would say that, and others would say, well, he has the rights to do so,
exactly.
So he's exploring his legal options.
He has the right, but you know, sometimes you have to consider the greater good of the society. In my opinion, I think everyone should let Rivers State be. It was a major flashpoint during the last election. You know, it was probably the most, it was a hotbed. You know, we're scared of, you know, the outcome of that place. There was so much violence there. So now that we've reached a conclusion, I don't think that that should be tampered with, because we're just going to have to deal with another, you know, load of you know, trouble in that side of the country. So I think APC or Abe or every one of them should start working towards the next 4 years when they will have the opportunity to go to the polls again.
Exactly. And now moving on to the Punch newspaper, the biggest headline here says Nigeria's economy is slipping, and that's according to the World Bank. Details of that in page 25, and we have the pictorials here. Passengers flee as fire raises Imo Airport. Details of that in page 4 as well. We can see as the smoke is billowing, and Lagos bricklayer gets life sentence for defiling 7-year-old niece. Federal government seeks private investors for aircraft leasing. Page 28 has details on xenophobia. 2 Nigerians stabbed to death in South Africa. National Assembly, we aren't in a hurry to release zoning formula, says the APC. And 18 die in Ogun, Niger, as tipper lorry crashes into Dangote truck. Page 4 and 5 has details, and Onogen's exit hasn't divided us. That's according to Supreme Court judges. Page 12 has details. Ndume meets Oshibajo and says he's still in the Senate presidency race. Policeman, vice principal, 4 others killed in Ondo bank robbery. Page 4 has details. And Rivers, PDP trying to intimidate Supreme Court justices, says APC. And oil prices above $71 per barrel as Libya civil war threatens supply. Now, the biggest one here. Nigeria's economy is slipping, and this is from 1991 up to 2018. And some would say we've had projections from the World Bank, the IMF, etc., and they've said there are some levels of growth, and once again we just see a little bit of slip. And the World Bank has also cut its forecast as well, saying that, well, our economic growth is now down to 2.1% and has based that on stagnant oil production, high inflation rate, and policy distortions. But really, though, when we look at the macroeconomic and financial variables they've stated here, based on the level of per capita income and structural transformation and capital flows, public sector indebtedness, and a whole lot more, it means Nigeria is not necessarily faring too well.
You see, I like to take this issue from a perspective of perceived value. And it's sometimes a bit unfortunate how we approach some of our problems in this country. You see, the World Bank coming up to say, to make this statement is damning on our economy on its own, because if you look at how, you know, the financial system works, there's a lot of there's a lot of media play in it. So if a company wants to go to a stock exchange or a company is listed on a stock exchange, one of the things that you guide jealously is the kind of news that is published about that company. Because the kind of news that is published about that company will affect how, the stocks of that company will trade. Let's bring that to a country. When you look at Nigeria, so we make most of our FX from oil. At this particular time, oil is back to 71. You would expect naturally that this is the time that everybody should be happy that this country is going to be liquid again, right? So but unfortunately, it's at this time that the World Bank is now making this kind of projection. Why? Because some of the things that we're supposed to do, we've not done properly. We've had a bit of policy instability. Sometimes it's not even only policy instability, it's because the policies are not well communicated for people to take advantage of it. Certain things that have happened at the beginning of the year, the election, the way it has gone, the perception is most people had said, they'll believe that they will maintain the status quo if President Buhari should come back. And if there's a change in power, there's the perception that if the PDP candidate, Atiku Abubakar, had won, that it would be better for the economy. Perception. And I'm saying it is a perception. We do not have anything to really hold on to say. So the onus is on the present government to work very hard.
This time around, President Buhari says he's consolidating on all of the efforts that have already been laid down within the first 4 years. But this time around, I believe the average Nigerian would want to see more concerted effort when we are talking about the diversification mantra, because we cannot, for no reason, solely depend on oil and gas, and the dividends that we've gotten from that area should be able to feed these other sectors. Aliko Dangote called on agriculture. The northern governors across board, everybody look at agriculture, make use of it.
Again, talking about agriculture, and I'm not saying that we should rely on oil and gas alone. Talking about agriculture, we've made significant progress in agriculture in the last 4 years. But two things, have we made those progress in the right direction? So we
barely can feed ourselves.
We've increased production. Have we increased processing? A lot of the value locked in agriculture sector is in processing. So when you produce and you export, you've lost a lot of value because the price of a bag of cocoa is not the same, is nothing compared to the price of a kilogram of chocolate. There's a process, the number of people it will employ, the number of opportunities you create, the way the value will trickle down in the economy.
And beyond chocolate, we have a whole lot.
Exactly. So when you create policies that you focused on only the PR effect of that policy, we've increased rice production in Nigeria. Are we produce the rice? Is it rice paddy or is it parboiled rice? Do we have the resources? Are we attracting the number of people? Are we even marketing the uniqueness of our country? To foreign investors to be able to come and take advantage of this, point. Are we solving the problems that are not, allowing the foreign investors to come into our country? I think that those are the things that we need to look at. I don't think it's completely doomsday. Yes, it's scary because when you look at companies that are trying to exit Nigeria, then you should be worried because last week, there were news about ExxonMobil planning an exit. About 2 weeks ago, Accenture left Nigeria. Naturally, you will get worried if you're an investor that why are the big guys leaving? But there's always an opportunity to look at, the other side of that conversation. There's always an opportunity to bring some of these people to the table and, discuss their pain points so that they don't cause bad press. They don't stop the people that you are trying to bring to people. I don't think that we're doing a very good job.
And I think lessons have to also be learned from all of the presidential initiatives. When we are talking about the ease of doing business this time around, much more has to be done, both for local and international brands, so that we can be able to move Nigeria forward. We want to see a case whereby we are seeing growth in double digits.
Yeah.
Yes. Now we are crossing over to the Vanguard newspaper this time around, and that's the last newspaper. Insecurity worsens. Multiple riders here. Police inspector, 6 others shot dead, 5 injured in Ondo bank robbery. And Ambode summoned security meeting over kidnap of fire service boss. 14 killed in Katsina. IGP deploys special squad. Page 2 has details there. And 12 killed as cultures clash in 2 rivers communities. Mopol, other security operatives take over Anambra West and a boundary dispute claims infants, 7 others. Page 34 has details. And still on the Ondo Bank robbery, we are seeing a pictorial here as the armed robbers blew open a bank security door and an automated teller machine with dynamite, killing a police inspector, 6 others injuring many in Ondo yesterday. And below on the right-hand side, we have one of the suspected robbers arrested yesterday. And the slain doctor, how we battled to save his life, loot management, has details of that in page 10. And Naira Watch says, well, Naira down to 360 Naira, 68 kobo to the dollar on the import-export window. And Lagos fire boss kidnap, anxiety, fear grips family, co-workers. And River Pools, PDP blackmailing Supreme Court justices. That's a report from the APC, details of that in page 2. Alleged poisoning of OAU dam, absurd, unfounded, Oni of Ife says so in page 11. And why I'm yet to get married, on the lighter side of life, and that's Don Jazzy there in page 45. And Onyagu is Zenith Bank new GMD stroke CEO, details of that in page 3. And Dume meets Oshibajo says no stepping down for Lawan, page 5 has details. And Chairman Chuku to be flown abroad. 46 also has details of that. And the World Bank cuts forecast for Nigeria's economic growth to 2.1%. That's talking business on page 19. But now let's just talk about the Senate presidency and the run for that leadership. Now, once again, Ndume has come out to say that I am not stepping down. I have the right to still run in this race, and so I am running. But this, don't you think this also seemingly says what is going on within the APC? Because after that closed-door session with President Muhammadu Buhari, which led to the supposed appointment of Ahmed Lawan, we are now hearing Ndume also saying, well, I intend to push forward. And others have said it is an elective office, so let the best candidate win. It's not an appointment.
Yes, it's an elective office. That is true. Ndume has the right, to make the attempt. What is, however, a bit worrying and, is the fact that the APC doesn't have its acts together. Whatever we do, the people are the most, important set here. They are the ones we are concerned about. And if Ndume is what the country is going to benefit from, then so be it. If it's Lawan, then we'll have Lawan. However, what we are seeing here is, for me, what happens when there is no strong and deep-rooted party ideology. The APC was formed by, different aggrieved parties that have come together. And I think in the space of about 5 to 6 years, they've not been able to agree on the things they want to focus on and how they want to really drive, the development and the running of the Nigerian political system. So I think that is the problem that we are facing here. So because if Ndume has met with the president, he's meeting with the vice president, and, he's not, what I would say, respecting the wishes of the party, then let them go and do the voting, and whoever wins, and they will take it from there. As long as systems are strong, you will not be scared of, individuals. So I think what we need to do as a country also is to strengthen our system so that irrespective of who gets there, the system will beat the person or will keep the person informed.
And I think we just have to always learn lessons. We saw what played out within the National Assembly in 2015, the whole leadership process and how they performed. So we must improve on whatever outcomes we are having this time around. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, Tubosun Akeju.
Thank you very much for
having me. This is where we draw the curtain on today's edition of Off the Press. Do ensure that you keep abreast to know all of the headlines as they break. And Plus TV Africa will definitely keep you abreast. We'll also visit your newspaper headlines. Many thanks for watching. I'm David Alabi. Good morning.